Hello and welcome to this video. When you are working with Power BI, you may need to enrich your data model with calculations, and you can do that by using calculated columns. What are calculated columns? A calculated column is an extension of a table using a DAX formula that is evaluated for each row. DAX stands for Data Analysis Expressions. And when you are using calculated columns, they are columns that are computed based on data that has already been loaded into your data model. If you're used to using Excel formulas, the DAX formula works in a similar way. This is the Power BI desktop file I'm going to be using for this video. When I did the video lecture on appending queries, this was the query I used at the end of that lecture. So I'm going to use it. It will be available for you to download under the resource page of this video. So I'm going to double click to launch the file, and I'll give it a few minutes to launch the file within the Power BI desktop. And I'm just going to exit this and exit that and wait for the file to load. The file has loaded and these are the models. So we're going to take a look at how we can create calculated columns within the data set we have so as to enrich the data set. So to begin, I am going to look on the model tab, which will show the relationship between my tables. Now, notice there's no relationship established within this geography table and this international table. What I want to be able to do is establish a relationship between this sales table here and this geography table. If I move that here, you can see there's no relationship at the moment because they don't have an identical column that can be used. Although this has got the zip here and it's got zip here, you can't really create a meaningful relationship with that because the zip code will vary for different location. So before I establish the relationship between the sales and the geography table, I want to show you what it will look like to create visuals from those two tables. So I'm going to click on this report view here, and I'm going to expand this geography table, and I'm going to drag this district here. All right, and that will create a tabular representation. And under the sales model here, I'm going to drag the revenue and drop that in there. Now you'll notice that you can't tell which sales represent each of the district because they are all showing up as the same amount. And the reason it's doing that is because there is no relationship between both tables. Let's go back to the model view. Click on this model here. And taking a look again at the sales table and the geography table, there is no distinct unique column in both that can be used. You can't use the zip code because some countries have the same zip code and that might confuse the data. What we really need to do is combine the country name and the zip code. We need to combine it using the DAX formula so that it appears in both tables, and then we can use that new calculated column to establish the relationship between the tables. Let's go back into the data view by clicking on this option here, and within the data view, make sure you've got the geography model selected. So to create a calculated column, we need to select the columns. I want to create a calculated column between the zip and also the country column. So while I've got the country selected. Make sure you've got the modeling tab selected above, and then there's an option to create a new column. So click on new column and you get this view here. So this is where the DAX formula is specified. So I'm going to change the name. The default name says column. So I'm going to call this country zip. So what I'm going to do is combine the country and the zip column. So if I start typing here, I get some options. This is known as IntelliSense. So if I say country, it will give me that. So I just type, double click, and that will pop the country in there. So what I want to do is combine both the country and the zip. So after that, I do a space and I use the ampersand, just as you would do if you're using an Excel formula. And then after the ampersand, I want to separate the values with a comma. So I do my double quotes, comma, and then the double quotes again. I do a space. After that, we do another ampersand, and then we'll add the zip field. So I just type in zip, and you can see it's automatically detected that. So I double click. Once you've done that, just press enter. And what it will do, it will combine and concatenate both fields that we have selected. So you can see here the new column here, calculated column. So it's combined both the country and the zip. So let's create another calculated column, but this time we are going to use the sales table. So I'm going to click on sales here, and that will open up the sales table. So I'm going to do the same thing with the zip and also the country name. So while I've got the country name selected, make sure the modeling tab is activated. Click on new column, and I'm going to do the same thing. So we've got the formula bar here, and I'm going to change the name of the default column from column to country zip. That's the new name. And then I'm going to combine the columns. So the first column I want to combine is going to be the country name. You can see here it's detected that, so I'll double click to pop that in there, and I need to add my ampersand. So I add the ampersand. After the ampersand, I need to add my quotes so that each of the values is separated by a comma, space, and then I add my second ampersand, and then I'll select the other value, which is the zip from the sales table. I double click and pop that. So you can see now I've got my formula in there. If I press enter, it will now combine and concatenate the value from both tables into one. So we'll give it a few minutes to do the calculation, and then you can see the result in the new column. So we can see the result of the new calculated column. We've got the name of the country, we've got a comma that separates it, and then we've got the zip code next to the country name. So we now have two calculated columns. We can now create relationship based on them. So I'm going to click on the model view here. You can click on the manage relationship tab. So I'll click on the manage relationship tab, and I'll select to create a new relationship. Before I do that, I'm going to click on the auto detect just to see if it automatically detects anything. It says no new relationship. So I'll click X and click on new. I'll select the table. It's going to be the sales table and the geography table. You can see it has automatically detected how the relationship matches. We've got country zip here and country zip there. And it also detects the cardinality, which is a many to one relationship, and the cross filter direction is single. So I'll click OK. And if we go back into, you can see here, that's the relationship there. If I click on there, we have the two relationships based on the country zip. Now, if I go back to my model, my report view, you'll see the changes. You can see previously when I did this, the values were all showing us the same because there was no relationship. Now that the relationship has been established, I'm getting different values for different districts. I mean, I can also do things. I can drag the country name into there, make that into a map, and I can drag the revenue into it so that you can see where the revenues are being generated for each country. So that's basically how you create and work with calculated columns. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.